A very good day to you. This is, of course, the Chat Up with me, Jamie, right here on Relax Radio. Hope you are having yourself an amazing, amazing day so far. We have a lot of interesting things to talk about. Today, we'll be talking about a wide variety of things, okay? And that is why I want you to make sure that you'll keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio and that you'll engage with me because I definitely want to hear your opinion. I definitely want to hear your perspective on things. So make sure that you go ahead and you let me know what exactly is on your mind. Now, today I want to be talking about the tyranny of milestones. Okay. The reason why I decided to talk about this is just because me as an individual, I feel like this is definitely something that has affected me in my life. Milestones in general is something that we are pressured to follow or to, follow at the end of the day as individuals. This is why I wanted to talk about it. Is it actually good that we are pressured, not just by our parents, but by society to follow certain milestones? Is it beneficial to us? Is it positive? Is it negative? Now, these are the kinds of conversation that I wanted to have with you within the next few minutes. So make sure that you keep it tuned right here on Relax Radio. But before we get into the conversation for today, I just want to remind you of something very, very special, okay? See, we here at Relax Radio, we talk about a lot of different things. We keep you updated on every single thing that you're supposed to know. We keep you entertained. We keep you motivated. And we're here for you 24/7, 365, which is why I want you to do me a little favor and go ahead and download our app on your phone because it's available absolutely free of charge on iOS and Android. And if you do download our app, it means you can take us with you wherever that you go. It doesn't matter where you are, as long as you have our app on your phone, you can listen to us no matter where you are. Which is why I think that you should definitely download our app and also see. We are all about hearing your perspective as well. We would love to hear from you what you think about what I'm talking about. If you have a different opinion, or if you think differently, or if you just agree with what we're talking about, I would absolutely love to hear from you. So go ahead, call me up. It's super simple. You could just call me up on 078 or very simply, you could head on over to our social media that is Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, and let me know what you guys are thinking. Go ahead and follow us, like us, share, because we definitely give you content that you need to hear and that you need to keep yourself updated with. So go on ahead and make sure that you check us out on our social media. Now, before going on into the topic of today, I just want to share a little something with you. If you're wondering what we do here at Relax Radio, well, then here's a little snippet that will give you a better understanding. All right, so that is a little idea for you of what exactly happens here at Relax Radio. We are definitely going to keep you company. We're going to keep you motivated. We are going to keep you entertained. So make sure that you do connect with us, that you have a conversation with us, because truly, I would absolutely love to hear from you. Now, with that being said, let's go on over to our topic of discussion today, which is the tyranny of life milestone. Now, I feel like at the end of the day, like I told you before, there's a lot of pressure for every single one of us to live up to certain life achievements. And I feel like these life achievements are almost restricted to this strict timeline. I mean, think about you, think about yourself. Don't you feel pressured to live up to a society's timeline? Don't you feel like there are certain things you need to accomplish before this particular age? And you need to go out of your way. You need to sometimes forget what you want, forget your dreams in order to accomplish these certain milestones that society has deemed to be absolutely essential in our life. But see, at the end of the day, what I do want to talk to you about, or what I do want to share with you, is that most of these milestones are often very arbitrary, okay? And it's more harmful than we often realize. And that's why I wanted to talk to you about this topic. And I hope you would stay with me, share with me your experiences, because I, as an individual, I know I've experienced a lot of things, mostly negative, when it comes to trying to stick up to society's standards or society's milestones. Okay, so I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear your personal experiences. So go on ahead. You could just comment on our Facebook Lives or YouTube Lives, or you could just connect with me on our social media or our phone number. Now, with that being said, let's talk about these life stones that society has essentially set us. Okay, we feel like, at least I feel like every society at the end of the day has a few important life milestones. Okay. And these achievements are often tied to a very specific life timeline, rather. For instance, okay, let me give you an example just to give you a bit of context for this situation. Western societies, I don't know about other cultures, but mainly when it comes to Western societies, we tend to prioritize moments like graduating from college by 22, getting married by 30, and having kids and buying a house before 35. Now, these are almost norms, or these are standards that we have been brought up, or we have been conditioned to believe. Ask yourself, if you think I'm not well, if you think this is not true, well, then I want you to ask yourself, don't you feel pressured to, have a degree, to get married before 30, to settle down before 35? These are all milestones that society has pressured us to almost follow. Okay. And see, I feel like we have been taught, as a generation, we have been taught to mark success by ticking off these boxes. And we worry that missing a deadline means we're falling, or we're failing in our career or in our lives. But what I want to analyze, or what I want to try to understand, is where exactly do these metrics come from, and is it actually good for us? Now, I think, as it turns out, these all important deadlines are often arbitrary, okay? And the pressure to achieve them sometimes comes from this almost unidentifiable place. They also aren't as set in stone as they may seem. Because, see, what has been happening is, our parents were told by their parents that they need to follow this timeline of achievements or timeline of goals in order to be successful in life. They passed it on to us, and we are most probably going to be passing it on to the next generation. But before we do that, that is what I want to talk to you about. And I want to talk to you about how actually this could be potentially dangerous, or this could be potentially very, very harmful. If you're just tuning in, well, then welcome to the show. We're talking about the tyranny of life milestones and how society has pressured us as a community to follow this certain timeline of life achievements that aren't really necessary at the end of the day. Now, see, understanding where these expectations come from and how they differ from reality we live in right now is, I feel like, important for making personal milestones that are meaningful instead of clinging to these outdated expectations. Now, it doesn't matter what age you are. If you're tuning in and you're probably wondering, how does this apply to me? I feel like at every point in our life, we are told by society, we are told by our parents, we're told by the adults around us that there are certain things we need to accomplish by certain ages. But what I want you to rethink a little bit is, I want you to think to yourself, if these milestones are exactly what you want to do, or you're just doing it because society or the people around you pressured you into following this system that has been there for ages. See, what I want you to understand is that today's day and age is a very different to what it was 10 years ago. And yes, maybe our parents and our grandparents were pressured to get married by 20, or rather married by 30, and have a house by 35, and be successful and have a family by 35. Well, that was that time. See, times are so much more different, and this sort of social pressure or this sort of expectations are not really necessary in the 21st century. And that is what I do want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about the mystery of these social norms. Okay, from the moment you as an individual pops out of your mother's womb, you are ready to learn. Okay, you pick up the language from around you, you learn the rules of our society, you learn what kind of behavior is allowed and what's considered to be good or bad. Because, see, at the end of the day, I don't know, but it's my opinion, but I think we're built that way, you know? We are built to learn norms and to comply with them. So, for the most part, we do what's expected of us. We do what other people expected, or rather, what other people expect to see from us. Now, that's what I wanted. That's kind of what I, as an individual, find problematic. Okay, because how do these norms get set in a combination of social and economical and technological factors? These things develop and we're all aware of them and we follow them, but nobody determines them. It's this aggregation of millions of people thinking about things and making decisions and talking to each other, but nobody's really in control of these social norms, expectations, or milestones that are thrust upon us as individuals. Okay, so of course, our parents, families, societies play such a huge part in us actually accomplishing all of these goals, accomplishing all of these expectations. But these things develop and we're all aware of them and we all follow them. But I want you to remember that nobody determines them. So, see, millennials in the US and especially in our country, in the UK, aren't exactly hitting these milestones. Okay. And I heard recently, I overheard a conversation that a few people were having with each other, and they were saying how different the time is now and how millennials aren't really excited or too enthusiastic about accomplishing these certain milestones that were deemed to be essential a few years ago, like having kids or getting married or being successful at this set age. But see, instead, I feel like millennials, according to research, are getting married an average of 7 years later than their parents and haven't married at all. And at the age women first give birth has consistently risen over the past 40 years. So, most millennial women are having children later than their baby boomer parents, or they're waiting till they're 29 years or 30 or older. Now, similarly, the home ownership rate for millennials is 8% lower than it was for the preceding two generations. This is all research, and this is exactly the numbers that research point out. But why did I bring out these facts and figures? It's because parents aren't the only factors that influence these milestones that we as individuals are told to follow. And I feel like millennials, especially, were born into a very different world than the one their parents knew. And I feel like me being a millennial, the way we navigate the world or how we go on with life on a day-to-day basis is very different to how our parents and how our grandparents and the generations before did. So, millennials are, on average, according to research, better educated than the previous generations. So, at the end of the day, what we need to understand is that millennials just have different set goals and norms, and we're almost straying away from following these set milestones that most of us have been conditioned to believe that is essential in order to become successful. Now, although expectations that women need to get married and have kids haven't really changed that much, ideas about gender norms definitely have shifted. I feel like 10 years ago, there was a lot of pressure on women to go find a man and get married. And if you didn't, what else were you going to do with life? But things are so much different now. And see, more women have attended university than men since the mid 1990s, and only a 40% of women aged 22 to 37 were employed. And in 2020, that is last year, 72% of millennial women were participating in the workforce. Now, these numbers are rising further and further and further. So I feel like, see, goals in general in today's day and age have changed. Milestones in general have changed. So what exactly is the tyranny part of it? Why is it a bad thing? Why do we need to start uh ditching all of these milestones and goals? Because newer generations, me as an individual of the millennial generation, we feel so much stress. We feel like there's this pressure to live up to your parents and your grandparents' norms. And even if these expectations aren't relevant anymore, it is a lot of pressure that is put on people to say that they need to get married by this age, they need to have children by this age, they need to be financially stable by this age. This is the tyranny of it, right? So, what I want to remind you is, no matter what generation you are from, one thing that you absolutely need to remember is that you are the only one in control of your life. And forget about these milestones that are set by society that we're conditioned to believe. Instead, follow life in your own timeline. If you feel like you want to set your career first, and if you want to, be financially stable before essentially getting married and having kids, then that essentially is what you should do. But if you also feel like you want to have a family further on, much earlier than what society expects you to, then you should definitely go ahead and do it. Because this life at the end of the day is your life. And all I want to remind you to do is to live your best life and live according to your own rules. Now, with that being said, I am Jamie. We've been having a very long conversation. We have a lot more things to come up, so make sure that you keep it tuned in right here on Relax Radio.